So, mothers and others, we're down to our last candidate of the evening, and I'm so excited. It's a really busy time of year. Everybody's out campaigning, and they're running on different time schedules. But Liz is here, and I'm so excited to introduce you all to Liz. So, give me one second, Liz. Liz Campos is currently the Texas House District 119 representative, and she represents Texans in Bexar County. So, welcome, Liz. I'm so glad you're here. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running for office?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you so much for having me this evening. And thank you so much for all that you do. I really appreciate you, and you are definitely much needed in our lives in Texas. So I am Liz Campos, State Representative for House District 119. This is my second term, going into my third term. And so I will tell you, born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I've lived on my same street in May will be 55 years. I purchased a house across the street from where I was raised. And so I know my district. I know the needs of my district. I'm very passionate about homelessness, children, education, healthcare reform. So it's been, as we all know, how difficult these last two sessions have been. I was a former chief of staff for a senator for 8.5 years. So I worked up at the Capitol. And what I always say is I know what it feels like to be a constituent living in this district. And so I always try to treat people the way that I like to be treated. And so never forgetting where I come from, staying humble. So I am truly, truly grateful to be able to serve, Texas. And so in my first session, I got Freshman of the Year. I authored 52 bills. Two that went into law. In my second term, I was on my first term, I was on they assigned me to public health and urban affairs. In my second term, I got vice chair of public health. So I traveled throughout Texas to different, hospitals, doctors, just trying to figure out what the needs are, because it's really important to me. And the reason I push so much to get on public health is because of my life experiences. I took care of my mother, I took care of my aunts, and I saw the struggles that they went through. And I was able to help them because of my experience of being a chief of staff and being able to navigate through the system. And I just felt like I wanted to do this for other seniors. And so that's one of the issues that inspired me to run. Also, I've got all types of family members with all walks of life, and have had a lot of them have had some serious challenges, and sometimes I feel like they've been ignored a little bit, too much. And so I've seen the struggles they've gone through. And again, those are the kind of things that inspired me to run. So grateful to be vice chair of public health in my second term. As difficult as it has been, and after we left, because we left the first session to Washington on the voter suppression bill. So coming back on the second session was even more difficult because we saw what happened. Nobody's getting along, terrible bills that we had to fight. One in particular was the immigration bill that we fought till 4 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately, it got passed in the last session. It's very disheartening. And people just the Republicans just sometimes don't understand what we deal with and the struggles that we've had our lives. And so it's been really challenging. But at the end of the day, I am grateful to be able to serve. I was able to get 18 bills through the House. I got 6 that went into law. One in particular was, I would have had 7. My priority bill was my dog bill. We've heard about the attacks in Texas with dog attacks, in particular one here in San Antonio, Mr. Nahera. So I called it my Nahera Act. He got mauled to death in the broad daylight. And so again, that's where I got the idea to pass this legislation, got it through the House, got it through committee, got it through the House, got it through the Senate, and then the governor vetoed it. And so, when he came to San Antonio to meet with the delegation, of course, after the third special session to ask, for our vote on this voucher bill, he mentioned, that he needed my vote, and also, that he vetoed my dog bill. And we could, talk about that. And I said, sir, with all due respect, I am not going to vote on the vouchers because that's just what hurt my district. And we're already hurting. We've already got students that are education. We see where education is. It's terrible. We don't have, with all the funding that we got in this budget, you would have thought we could give more back to education. I mean, the children are our future and we're letting them down. So, I just told him that was just not going to be possible, but it was kind of like, well, if you vote on this and I can get the dog bill passed. And he didn't say it directly, but that was the insinuation. And it was very disheartening because the dog bill is a great policy and it is much needed. So he did say that he would continue to work with me. I'm going to hold him to it. I filed it 3 times in the last 3 special sessions. I'm going to file it again, and I'm going to keep filing until we get it passed. And even more so for the family, because they just went through so much. Husband and wife both got mauled. Unfortunately, the husband did not make it because he was on kidney dialysis. And so the dogs grabbed onto the shunt that he had in his arm, and he bled to death in the broad daylight. It was horrible. If you look it up on in San Antonio, it was just a tragic incident. After that, we lost another gentleman to another dog bite. Months after that, another gentleman got his leg amputated. It's just been one thing after another. And so when you see that we work so hard to get good policy in, and then to just veto it without a thought, it's just disheartening. But I will tell you, as difficult as it's been, I'm grateful for the policy that I have gotten passed. And that's what encourages me to want to continue to fight for you, because I've got it in me and I know that I can do better and I want to do better. Again, I'm very passionate about the homeless community. I feel like nobody wakes up in the morning and wants to be homeless. Something has happened in their life that we will never understand. And with that being said, we can't turn our back on them. We got to continue to fight for them and get them the help that they need, because the majority of them have mental health issues. I also am very passionate about Child Protective Services, the children. So I've committed to doing ride-alongs once a month. I've been meeting with the commissioner for the last 3 months, once a month, because I feel like Texas has failed these children over and over again, and it needs to stop. And so I'm just committed to serving. At the end of the day, I enjoy it because I have had some good accomplishments, but it takes a village. And so I feel that everyone that walks into that Capitol serves a purpose, whether you're a staffer, an elected official, whether you're with a nonprofit, whatever it is that you're doing, you serve a purpose because you're working hard for what you believe in. So I've got an open door policy for everyone. And even though we may not be on the same page all the time, it's okay. We may be on the same page the next time. And so I really enjoy building those relationships because all of you matter to me. And again, being brought up in this district, I understand it. I know it. I myself have had my struggles, but it's just made me stronger to continue to want to fight for you.
Wonderful. So when I was a little kid, I was attacked by a dog, and this dog ripped up the back of my leg, and that was not fun. But I remember what it was like, just to kind of pass out and you wake up in the emergency room and they're stitching you back together.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I myself, I'm a dog lover, so it's not about any in particular dog. And that's why I was able to pass this legislation, because they thought, you're going after the dogs. I said, I've got 3 German Shepherds. So those dogs can turn on you, but they're very well trained. So my bill was all about holding owners responsible and getting animal care services more involved to identify dangerous dogs and work with the owners to make sure that you hold them accountable so they can be more responsible. So it wasn't about getting rid of dogs. It was just about holding owners accountable.
Yes. So Liz, earlier tonight, we had another elected legislator that was on. And one of the things is that there's a lot of news going on right now in Texas. So I wanted to ask you a couple of additional questions just because you're currently in elected office. So wanted to get your ideas and feedback on, well, of course, you guys fought SB4, but we see a lot of turmoil right now going on at the border. And I wanted to get your feedback on how you felt things were going at the border, because it definitely seems like we're having a standoff between Greg Abbott and the Republicans and the federal government and Biden. And it doesn't feel so good when you're a
You're
Texan
right.
to have that
Right.
going on.
Exactly.
And I'm a
And
Latina and you're a Latina too. So it's sort of, I've never felt the temperature. I've been living in Texas since 1995 after college, and I haven't felt the temperature be this hot and this threatening since I moved here. And I I just can't believe I live in the state sometimes. So
yeah,
I
I
would
get
like to
it. I
get your
mean,
opinion
that's
as a
how we feel. I mean, trying to fight SB4 till 4 o'clock in the morning. It was like, my goodness, the tension was so high and hearts were broken because we just couldn't believe, I mean, attacking children, women, it's just not right. And so I think that it's a federal issue. And so we need to let the federal, Biden come in and do what he needs to do to resolve that issue. I do think that things have gotten out of control, and Congress needs to do something. But at the same time, I think that, Governor Abbott has spent way too much money on Lone Star operation. I mean, we're talking billions and billions of dollars. I myself went out.
billion.
Yes, I myself went out to go visit Dilley, the jail that they have, and the money that they spent on that facility was so much wasted money because they hold these inmates for 14 days, sometimes longer, and they really shouldn't. So we spend all this money because we've taken them in, we incarcerate them for trespassing or what have you, and then at the end of the day, we wind up passing them over to the government anyway. So we just need to let the government do what he needs to do and get control of the situation. And I feel like that money, we could spend it on other issues. We could spend it on education. We could spend it, on child protective service issues. And I've had these conversations with the governor's office as well. But I do think it's a federal issue, and the administration does definitely need to do more, but we should not be spending billions of Texas taxpayers on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other question I asked had to do with the news we heard from about Greg Abbott last week getting an additional $6 million from a billionaire from Pennsylvania, and how this was going to influence the current primary as well as the fall election, as well as, the state of vouchers in the next legislative session. So
It's terrifying. I mean, I just can't even believe that we're having to deal with this. My first session, the voter suppression bill, the abortion bill, and then this second session. So it's been extremely, extremely difficult. And it's just, I can't imagine that we are dealing with this. And, I will tell you, I was able to pass 18 bills. And the reason I did that is because of my strategy. I had 28 hearings and I worked my bills really hard. And so what I do, I have to get 12 Republicans to sign off on my bill so I can get them passed. So I lobby 20, and I take the time to sit down and talk with them. And literally, I feel like I'm begging for it because that's what we have to do. But when I explain what my bill is about, how it affects my community, I've been successful. But there has been some of those Republicans that are moderate, and they take, what I've told them into consideration, and they voted on 18 of my bills. In this day and age, that's a lot of bills for a Democrat to get passed. And I'm really worried that that's not going to happen next session because of what has happened with Paxton, the lieutenant governor, the governor. There's been so many good legislators that are retiring because they just can't handle it. And they say, we've never seen the Senate and the House going at it, fighting the way that they have so openly. It's embarrassing to Texas that we are where we're at in this day and age. And so I am extremely worried about next session because I don't know that I'm going to be able to be that successful. Because I'm working at the Capitol for as long as I have for the senator. I've never seen it like this. It is just so contentious. People are mean. There's no consideration. I mean, it's just really bad. So it's scary going into the next session. But again, I'm pretty strong. Try to stay in my lane. I try to stay focused. Try to, build bridges and not burn them. And that's all I can hope for. And, ask God to give me strength to do the best thing that I can for our Texans.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So where can we find you, Liz, and how best can we support you right now while you're running for office?
So you can go to my website at lizcampos.com. I've got my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, everything attached there. And what you can do is an endorsement would be, I'd be honored to have your endorsement and be able to share that on social media. I do a lot of social media. I do a lot of digital ads. And so I would be very grateful for that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. And mothers and others, before I let you all go tonight, Liz just talked about something that reminded me of a tweet that I saw earlier this evening, about 4 hours ago, actually. Evan Smith, who, you remember him from the Texas Tribune and Texas Monthly. Evan Smith put out a tweet tonight, and it said, "I've seen enough. Right now, Texas politics, culture, and congeniality, magnitude, and intensity of dysfunction is the worst that it has been in decades. More broken than ever. Not impossible, but very hard to see how it's put back together."
And I'd like to share something just that you just kind of, I just remembered something. But so I have an opponent, and I understand that that's politics. I did it too. I ran against an incumbent, so I understand it. But in this day and age, we just have to do our best to work together and to continue to fight for one another. And it's just really sad to see that, I put a lot of work into what I do because I take pride in it. So when I see, individuals, my opponent attacking me on certain things is just really disheartening. But it just sees how divided we are, because at this point in time, what we should be focusing on is turning the House blue. And there's other seats that we should be focusing on, right? So we have 118 in San Antonio. And then we have also 121 that we should be focusing on. But yet it seems that sometimes our own party, our own people come after the ones that are really doing good work instead of focusing on getting those extra seats so that we can turn the House blue. Because if we don't turn the House blue, we're always going to be where we're at, and it's only going to be worse. So it's just really disheartening. Nancy, if you ever have any questions or you need anything, you can call me directly.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. I would love that. And thank you all. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you, mothers and others. Like I said earlier this evening, we have to do brave politics. Brave politics means seeing people in person. It means running for office. It means being out there and getting to know your neighbors and talking to your neighbors about these great candidates that you see on our webinars. The time is now to mobilize people. Remember that, Mobi-suasion. The time is now for Mobi-suasion. We need to go out there and do the best job we can to turn Texas blue, and I'm counting on all of you. So thank you all so much. Thank you so much to the candidates, and I'm so glad you joined us this evening. And I look forward to hearing from more candidates next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.